The palace lies in darkness, lit only by trembling torches that stretch shadows across marble walls. Senators sit in silence, their breath shallow, their eyes fixed on one man, Caligula. He does not look like a mortal ruler, but a self-proclaimed god, crowned in gold and jewels. Suddenly, he laughs, his voice sharp and cruel. Guards drag a crying child across the floor, and the senators tremble, powerless to act. That was Caligula's Rome, a world where cruelty became ritual, and where power was proven through humiliation. Tonight, you will hear 7 of his darkest and most perverted rituals. The feasts of Caligula were never about food or joy. They were traps, carefully staged arenas of humiliation. Senators and nobles came dressed in their finest robes, their wives in jewels and silk, but every guest knew the truth. This was not a dinner. It was survival. A smirk from the emperor, a sudden command, and terror spread like fire. A wife was ordered forward, her husband frozen, powerless. The emperor would lead her away, and when he returned, he mocked her in front of all. The laughter of Caligula broke reputations, destroyed honor, and left the Senate trembling in silence. For the women of Rome, there was no escape. They were paraded like trophies, dragged into the emperor's chamber while their husbands sat in shame. To protest was to die. To remain silent was to live as proof of disgrace. When Caligula returned, robe loosened, smile wide, he boasted about what he had done. He turned Rome's noblest families into objects of ridicule. To him, lust was not indulgence, it was a weapon. By shaming women, he shattered the men who ruled the empire. Rome thrived on honor, but in Caligula's hall, honor was stripped bare, replaced by silence and fear. But once Caligula had broken Rome's noblemen, he turned his cruelty inward, toward his own family. His beloved sister, Drusilla, was paraded as though she were his wife. She reclined at his banquets in the seat of an empress, flaunted before senators who dared not speak. Whispers spread across Rome that their emperor shared his bed with his own sister. In a society where family was sacred, this was more than scandal, it was desecration. Caligula did not hide the whispers. He fed them. He dared the world to look away. Then Drusilla died. But for Caligula, grief became blasphemy. He did not bury her with quiet honor. He declared her divine. Statues of Drusilla were raised across Rome. Temples were filled with incense. Priests offered sacrifices, not to Jupiter or Mars, but to the emperor's dead sister. For senators, each bowed head was not devotion, but humiliation. To refuse was treason. To obey was shame. Caligula blurred every boundary, family, religion, and morality, all twisted into tools for his cruel theater. The Senate itself, once the pride of Rome, became nothing more than props in Caligula's theater. Senators were forced to bow until their foreheads scraped the marble floors. Some were ordered to kiss his sandals in public. Others were made to act on stage like clumsy performers or even fight in the arena like gladiators. These were Rome's most powerful men, reduced to clowns and slaves. Executions silenced enemies, but humiliation destroyed reputations forever. Caligula knew this. He designed it. Every laugh, every bow, every kiss shattered centuries of Roman dignity. And then, when humiliation was no longer enough, Caligula turned to death itself. For him, executions were not justice. They were entertainment. Prisoners stood in rows, trembling, waiting for the emperor's hand to decide who lived and who died. Sometimes every 10th man was slaughtered at random, their blood staining the earth while Caligula smiled. In his Rome, survival was not about innocence or loyalty. It was about luck. To live or die was nothing more than a coin toss. This was not justice. This was terror perfected into performance. These were the rituals of Emperor Caligula: banquets of humiliation, desecration of family, the worship of scandal, the ruin of the Senate, and death as a game. For Rome, it was a nightmare that blurred the line between ruler and monster. And as the torches dim in the palace of shadows, remember this: sometimes the greatest cruelty is not hidden in the sword, but in the laughter of power. Good night.